Welcome back. Growthpoint's key metrics have improved, including valuations, vacancies, and arrears. But high interest rates have continued to weigh on the group, resulting in a 10% decline in distributable income and dividend. And joining me now is the company's CEO, Norbert Sasse. Thank you so much for your time. Norbert, would you actually say that the biggest headwind for Growthpoint in this period was actually the high interest rate environment?
Yes, Zanati, thanks for having me on the show. Absolutely. I mean, we did sort of, prep the market, I guess, for this particular result. At the beginning of the year, we guided for 10 to 15% down. We've done a bit better, I guess, coming in at the low end of that sort of guidance at the -10 as opposed to -15.
Yeah.
And at the time, we also suggested that, circa 80% of that 10% to 15% downward trajectory would be attributable to the interest rates and the high interest rates and increasing interest rates and the impact it has on the business, not only in the South African business, but across our portfolio in Australia, in the Eastern European, global worth company that we've got an investment in. This increase in interest rates was a global thing. It wasn't just a South African thing. So right across the portfolio, we've seen the impact of the higher interest rates.
Yeah. Well, Norbert, let's zoom into South Africa. And one of the things that jumped out at me was the dynamics that we saw in those vacancies, because they were reduced in the retail and office sector, but actually increased in the industrial sector. Quite the opposite of the trend that we have seen in the past few years. What was the story there?
So look, again, that increase in the industrial vacancy factor is sort of an own goal, if you want to call it that, or self-inflicted, in as much as, as we try to improve the quality of our industrial portfolio, we've gone and developed brand new product, some of them on a speculative basis where we, completed the development without having a sort of a tenant and backing ourselves to find a tenant once the development is complete. And there's sometimes a lag of a couple of months. And, obviously you've got a 30 June year end. And at that date, we've got a couple of these new developments that are complete, ready to be let, but not tenanted. So we're very confident we'll tenant them in the next couple of months. So it's not an indication of a weak industrial market or weak demand. It's more of our own doing, if that makes any sense.
All right. Just before we go to the other geographies, lastly on South Africa, the political landscape has changed. Quite a few things have changed, like load shedding. And overall, the metrics have improved in South Africa. Would you say that this is maybe a sign of improving fundamentals in South Africa, or maybe just a bottoming out, maybe, finally, of some of the headwinds that we have experienced in the economy?
Yeah, we definitely like to see it as a bottoming out, especially in the property sector, and it's quite tangible, the, let's say, positive sentiment, or, everything's relative, I guess, but, definitely much more positive sentiment post the election. We can see it in, our customers and the way in which they're thinking about their businesses and potentially growth and investment into their businesses. Clearly, foreigners have seen this. Foreigners have come into the South African bonds, into South African equities, and even into South African listed property for the first time in many years. So it's we certainly feel and would like to believe that we're bottoming out on the property cycle, which has been quite negative, in fact, since pre-COVID, exacerbated by COVID, and then all the other challenges and headwinds that we've had, from load shedding, as you point out, to riots and obviously now interest rates. So yes, we definitely feeling a bit better and see and feel that positivity.
Yeah, all right. Norbert, let's go to the UK now, where we've had a hint of a potential corporate action when it comes to capital and regional. Of course, you do have a controlling interest there, and we've had quite a few players that actually want to take over the driver's seat there. We've had expressions of interest there, including from Vukile, New River REIT, and also Praxis. So where are you standing there in terms of the appetite that you are seeing from the other REITs?
Yeah, this is a particularly sort of sensitive issue, I guess, at the moment. We're bound by London Stock Exchange rules and the takeover panel, in the UK. So there's not much I can say other than, there are a number of parties, in due diligence, in various stages of due diligence, in relation to Capital and Regional. And, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see what transpires.
All right. Well, let's go into under your co-investment funds management business. There you do have a Lango that invests in properties across Africa. Of course, just shed some light on this investment for us, because we do know that they have bought some assets from fellow REITs, Hyprop and TAC. But also there was no dividend from that business in this financial year. And also they're moving their domicile status to the UK.
Yeah, that's correct. So look, this is one of our funds. We've got 3 funds in our funds management platform, which is referred to as Growthpoint Investment Partners. And Lango focuses pretty much on investment in real estate outside of South Africa.
Yeah.
So it's got exposure to Ghana, to Nigeria, to Zambia. It did quite a nice transaction recently when it acquired some assets from Hyprop and Attack. And that's taken the total asset value probably now from about $650 million to almost $850 million. And a really, good portfolio of assets. But, Africa remains a tough space. Let's not kid. We've seen very extreme currency volatility, both in Nigeria and Ghana. And but the key reason for the dividend, lack of dividend, is that in terms of the Mauritian, this company is Mauritian domicile.
Yeah.
And in terms of some of the Mauritian Companies Act requirements, we are unable to actually pay a dividend given the position of the reserves of the company. The redomiciliation to the UK, which is in process, we hope to achieve that before the end of the calendar year, should allow dividends to flow again once we've completed that redomiciliation.
Norbert, your business is so diversified that we could go on for 3 hours, but unfortunately we do have to leave the conversation there. Thank you so much for giving us insights on those numbers that came out of Growthpoint. That was the CEO of Growthpoint, Norbert Sasse.